Welcome to Caseback Watches. My name is Tim, and in this episode I will analyze Archieluxury. This maybe is a little bit surprising, but I have to admit I'm a fan, and so the plan is analyze in a proper way Archieluxury. I must say I'm not a medic, I'm not a psychologist, I'm a journalist, but I'm in this job for 20 years now, and I've learned to read facts, and this video is only about facts. And one little thesis, or a hypothesis, working hypothesis, and let me say you this. In my opinion, no, not in my opinion, I'm convinced that Archieluxury is one of the most influential and in a way best made show on YouTube. I will prove that. Please don't unsubscribe. I will prove this in a minute, and I've made notes. This will be complicated. And if you're not familiar with Archieluxury, if you're asking now what is this about, then check him out. Little warning here, parental advisory acquired here, but you will have some fun. It will be disturbing in a way, but you will have some fun, I promise you. And I've wrote an email to ask permission to do this, but I've forgotten to send it to Mr. Pluter, so. First, big ego. Very obvious. I mean, he calls himself an international YouTube celebrity. He calls himself the pontiff. He calls himself the governor's governor. If you're new in the watch world, this is a hit against Tristano Veneto from the Urban Gentry, another huge and brilliant watch channel. Same time, he's incredibly lazy, and in a way, this fits his self-esteem. But if you say, well, I'm the pontiff, I need a good idea, and then I will do a video about it, and I don't need any preparation or planning or research. Absolutely not necessary. I'm the pontiff. I will do this without any preparation, and it will be great. Okay, next point, traveler. Archie travels a lot, and he likes to be out of the mess, because I think this is behind it. Sometimes he realizes that the mess is so deep, and he has no chance to get away. Then he gets on a plane, and he flies mostly to Asia, Kuala Lumpur, Thailand, Japan, other sorts of countries in Asia. And he does this without any preparation, sometimes without cash. Nearly every episode he begs about money. Please donate immediately via PayPal, and to finance his hotels, his beverages, and his sexual encounters, I guess. Yeah. Next thing on my list is big sexual appetite. And Archieluxury has a sexual preference. Asian women, yes, but then there are younger ones, older ones, ugly ones, beautiful ones, and transgender, I think even men. And I think he has absolutely no preference. He goes after everything with a pulse. Let's go to the next one. Ruthless. Yes, absolutely. If Archie thinks that the outcome of an action is bigger than the costs or the trouble, then he does it without any concerns. He shows his kids in front of the camera, for example. In my opinion, absolutely no go. But Archie thinks, well, there's my kid, I have to shoot this video, the kid is in the video, fuck it, I do it. What can go wrong? And he shows his girlfriends or his whores, his hookers in front of the camera. He shows pedestrians. Very funny video. Archie on the plane, in the cabin, and in front of his camera, and making this one, and behind him is an Asian girl, and she jumps into cover because she doesn't want under any circumstances on his channel. Very, very funny episode, I must say. Okay, ruthless. He shows pedestrian. He complains about gifts he recently got, and he can be absolutely sure that the gift giver is in the audience, right? But he doesn't give a fuck. The gift was bad, the burger was bad, so he complains. And his dad, he forces his dad into some weird conversations about watches life, and frankly, those conversations, they are crap. Next point. I think he's creative in a way. Archieluxury is in a way creative, and you can see this with his language. As you can hear, English is not my mother's language, and so I cannot judge about Archie's language, but I find this very interesting. I mean, I've never heard the word fuckaroony, or this term fuck me dead. I mean, but you can see this term fuck me dead. You can see it on the internet right now. I think I'm following Archie now 2 years, and I saw this impression, and I heard the impression on YouTube several times out of his channel. So he's spreading, he's a little influencer in swearing. Yeah, I really think so. Next point, gross way of living. Yes, I think this is part of the brand, this carpet beetle. Sometimes he shows with the camera his rug. And the rug is pretty eaten by carpet beetles. And in the same angle, he shows his feet. I don't know if you know the term, but in Germany we call this Parmesan feet, because those feet of old men, sometimes they look like Parmesan cheese, very disgusting. And then sprinkled with red marks where he scratched his skin because of the carpet beetles. And this is gross, man. This is really gross. And then he explained in one episode then that he doesn't need no shampoo. He doesn't use shampoo anymore because it's better for his hair and skin, only use water. And this is gross as well. And of course the horns. My God, he has 2 horns. Like this. And the audience asks why he doesn't see a medic to remove those things. And here's the answer. The answer is that I think he sees the horns as a part of his brand. Imagine Lemmy from Motorhead. He died last year. Yeah, last year. And he has this big horn on his cheek. And it was part of the Lemmy brand. And I think the horns are part of the Archieluxury brand. And so the horns will be in action. So in total, a very evil type of bachelor there. Good point here. Consistency over decades. If you see his carpet beetle room, then you can also see bookcases behind him, and you can see large stacks of magazines, whole editions, basically from the, I think, 80s or 90s, 80s and 90s maybe. And he reported that he was a collector for Louis Vuitton. He collected Louis Vuitton suitcases over decades as well. So he's not the guy who tends to give up if the obstacles seem so high. On the contrary, we will see this. Funny fact here, I've found his home. I found his house with Google Street View, and because I was curious, of course, and it wasn't so hard. The world knows that he lives in Brisbane, Australia, and he visited a park for leisure reasons. And then sometimes he's out of his house, he's in the garden, and then you can hear trucks, very large trucks, so you can figure out, okay, big street. And one time he stepped out of his house on the road, and there saw a sign and some other marks, and then it was very simple. And yeah, Archie lives, it's not luxury, the environment, but it's not slum, it's average suburban street with carports, and yeah, nothing fancy, but totally okay in my opinion. His business. Yes, his business. First, huge knowledge about watches. We have to admit that, or at least he is very fit when it comes to reference numbers. I'm absolutely not able to remember reference numbers, but he does it without any hesitation sometimes. But basically his knowledge is about, I think, Rolex and the big brands like Patek Philippe. The other brands are shitters for him, and I think this is very convenient for him as well. This term shitter, every time he comes across a watch he is not familiar with or a brand he's not familiar with, he calls it, it's a shitter. And then he has no obligation to speak properly about the watch. And when he comes accidentally across the watch, and when he purchased the watch, let's say a Breitling or Hoyer, then he says, well, I was wrong. He makes turn 180 degrees and says, well, I was wrong, it's a great watch. Don't care of my words from yesterday. But overall, I must say, he has no clue about dealing watches. No clue. And that's not my interpretation. He tells you in his videos, he tells you, well, I've made those deal, and this went wrong, and that went wrong. And it's bizarre sometimes. One time he shipped two watches with FedEx from Australia to the US, with FedEx with no insurance, absolutely no insurance. FedEx lost the parcels and the watches were gone. And then really began to get back the money. And I think he didn't receive the money back. I think it was a huge loss for him, only because he didn't want to buy proper insurance. I don't get that. The other time Oh, this was evil. He ripped off an old guy. This was the time before the internet, and he saw a listing in the newspaper, the printed newspaper for the younger folks, printed newspaper. And he paid about 200, I think, if I recall correctly, 200 Aussie dollars for a watch. And the watch was worth 2,000. And then he bragged in front of the camera with that action. And I thought, man, this is crazy. I mean, the old guy, he has a family, right? And if the family sees this, and then they can send the troubleshooter of the family to old Archie, and then end of the party. You know? Very, 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 very stupid action. And by the way, it's bad form to do this. It's bad form. Don't rip off older people. Although sometimes it seems easy, but it causes trouble and it's bad style, bad form. And he doesn't do proper plannings. He told the audience about his plan to open a shop with luxury goods, mostly suitcases by Louis Vuitton. And he bought merchandise for, I think, $100,000, Australian dollars. And then he realized, well, I need an insurance. And then he realized that the insurance money would eat up all possible profit out of his shop. And so the whole concept was insanity, and it didn't work out. But he realized this at the end. And then he had to sell everything with loss, I guess. Next point about his business. He's cheap. He is cheap. You can send him 20 Aussie dollars, and then he will produce a video for you about your questions, and this is insane. Okay, he will spend 20 minutes on this video, so $1 per minute. But I mean, this is the wage of a plumber. And is he better than a plumber, or is he? I don't know. I'm confused now. But I think if you say you are an international YouTube celebrity, you should ask more than $20. However, his counter shows, I can't believe this, 44 million views. 44 million. I'm new to YouTube, but isn't that plenty? 44 million. My God, this is the population of Italy. And he has 48,000 subscribers. Okay, compared to popular game channels, 48,000 subscribers are not substantial. But for a watch channel, I think this is pretty big. I'm deeply impressed. But maybe Archieluxury, the Archieluxury channel, isn't a watch channel. And now it's getting interesting. Now we can talk about the story behind it. I'm convinced that every single YouTube channel has a backstory, a story behind the situation in front of the camera. Even if you have a channel, if you're watching a channel about forging a sword. And I'm pretty sure that the audience will try to find out the backstory behind his channel. And often the backstory is more important than the actual content. And with Archie, this is definitely the case. This is a channel about a man who wants to be rich and, in a way, luxury. He wants to be rich at all costs. And despite the fact that he's in a very bad position, he's not the pole position. He has no family background. He has no proper profession. I think he worked some time in IT business, but on a low level. And then he worked in a waste plant. So very, very, very bad position. And of course, he's not very handsome. I mean, if you're handsome and stupid, could work out. But he's not very handsome. And he's, as I said, or as he shows, he's lazy. So very bad position. But he gives a fuck. He wants luxury and wealth. He wants it so bad that he puts everything in stake. His mental health, his dignity. I mean, the e-begging. Donate immediately and send me some coin. He's interesting. I'm picking up words from Archie during this my research. I picked a lot of words up from Archie. I don't know if this is pretty good, but what can I do? And the audience will ask, This is fascinating in a way. How far will he go? And then he goes far, and he goes beyond far, and then things getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And I mean, now he's the employee, or he makes us believe that he's the employee of an agency called Blue Velvet. Actually, he's a sex worker. Blue Velvet is an agency which arranges meetings between older Asian women, wealthy women, and Archie in fancy hotels, and the agency pays everything. the commodities and everything. And Archie's very proud as a sex worker. I mean, this is crazy. This is insane. On the other hand, he keeps it fresh, right? He keeps it real fresh. Working for Blue Velvet, the sex agency. My goodness. And so we see a man who fights against his fate. And his fate is miserable, and so he fights even harder. I mean, it's fascinating. 100% authenticity. Forget the crap about the method actor. He always claims Paul Pluta is the method actor who plays Archieluxury, or sometimes he claims Archieluxury is the method actor who plays Paul Pluta, and I think we can forget this. He is absolutely not able to change perspectives in that way. And 100% authenticity nowadays means he shows everything. He shows carpet beetles, his horns, his feet, his son, his dad. He shows everything. He shows, and this is most important, he shows his defeat. His defeats. And you know how boring this can be if one doesn't show defeats or obstacles. I mean, we're all very tired, I think, about those Instagram or Facebook lives with only achievements and watches and yachts and cars and this superficial way of life. And this is the opposite. He shows everything, but he's not boring in this. Sometimes you can see people and they show everything, but they're boring. They show their normal miserable lives, and we think, well, this I can't see in every supermarket and in the park, and yeah, that's quite boring. And Archieluxury isn't boring. He's such an extreme character that when he shows everything, this is the opposite of boring. So finally, I think being on YouTube is the best decision Paul Pluta ever made. And yeah, when it comes to me, Mr. Pluta, if you're watching this, good luck to you, all the best. Carry on, mate. Okay, now I'm speculating, but here's my guess. I think he will disappear in a while, and he will disappear with a big bang, and a big bang in his mind, in the idea big bang. He will execute the idea cheaply and lazy and very, very, very weak, and then he will disappear for a while, and then quick comeback, and the comeback will fail, and then he's gone. I think he's gone. No, not in the way that he's dying or something like that. There are some people out there that say, well, he's in bad health. He's this coughing and his overweight and his drinking, and I don't know, he's okay. He drinks, yes, but his skin seems okay. So I think he has a future definitely. And as I said, my guess is he will disappear, come back, disappear again, then silence. But it's only a guess, and I would be happy if he stays with us, and because as I said, he's one of the most influential and in a way best made program on YouTube.